All right, hello and welcome back to another Psalm series. Today we're going to be going over Psalm 5 and going through that and finding the nuggets of that we can use to enrich our own lives. So we go through the series because there is a lot of terrible things going on in the world, and if you're a musician or even if you just listen to music, there's a lot of wickedness going on and just spiritual evil going on in the music world as well. You look at the top selling artists right now, you look at the Billboard, there's a lot of people with the spirits of vanity, the spirit of financial gain and selfishness, pride, all those fun things. And there's a lot of music that just comes from a very wicked place, whether the artist actually meant to or not. That's just what was put out. Intentionality ultimately doesn't matter because what they put out has that in it. And I've seen that work pretty terrible things in people's lives. Being a music therapist, I always see when I'm at my hospital, for example, I play music for people. I try to let them choose their own songs, but there's a lot of songs when I choose, the attitudes change in the room for the worse. And when I put on music that doesn't have that spirit of vanity, pride, and self-worship, it's a much more calm, peaceful, relaxed unit, and it truly made me believe in the power of music, whether the artist has that intention or not. The music still has that sound to it, the words are still there, and the songs itself have certain meanings and can derive certain emotions. So I think that lends credibility to when Paul says in Ephesians that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places. That's absolutely a great example of what he's referring to in our modern times, 2,000 years later. So let's go ahead and dive into Psalm 5. I'm going to be doing this out of the New King James translation. Of the few different Bibles that I had, this seemed to be the easiest to understand, and I thought it flowed a little bit better. So the author of this one is King David, as we see in the title, to the chief musician with flutes, a psalm of David. Fun side note, the chief musician, they don't actually know exactly who that was. That could have been the psalmist, the singer, the leader of the choir. There's an argument to be made that the chief musician is actually God himself. You see, there's so much music surrounding God in Chronicles, and the Ark of the Covenant is brought up. It talks more about the actual musicians that accompanied the Ark as it was moving than the Ark itself. You see angels that surround God that sing praises 24/7. There's just a lot about music in the Bible that suggest that God may be actually the chief musician. So let's go ahead and dive into the scripture here. Psalm 1 through 3, or Psalm 5, 1 through 3. Give ear to my words, O Lord, and consider my meditation. Give heed to the voice of my cry, my King and my God, for to you I will pray. My voice you shall hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning I will direct it to you, and I will look up. So in the last psalm, we talked about lying down before bed. It was the evening psalm, is a nickname that some people gave it. Some people give this one the nickname the morning psalm. Because here we're talking in the last one, we talked about laying down and talking to God, how that's a great way to help us get good sleep, but also just reflect on the day, think about what we can do better. In this one, we're talking about meditating on the word, like we saw in Psalm 1, and talking to God first thing in the morning. And when we do that, it's easy, we can pray for strength to make good decisions throughout the day. Just spending a little bit of time in the morning with the Lord really helps set the tone for our entire day. In fact, I believe there's a book called The Treasury of David written by Charles Spurgeon. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce it. I've only seen it written. But he's got a lot of great things to say about the Psalms. It's definitely worth a read if you are interested in the Psalms like I am. But he said of verse 3, this is the fittest time connecting with God. An hour in the morning is worth two in the evening. While the dew is on the grass, let grace drop upon the soul. So there's not obviously, I mean, it's not like an actual mathematical correlation, but I believe that they're trying to say if you prepare yourself, if you prepare your heart in the morning, you're going to be a lot more receptive to the good things throughout the day. It's going to be easier to walk in a righteous path. So now we're going to go on to verses 4 through 6, where they talk about wickedness. They're describing a wicked man. For you are not a God who takes pleasure in wickedness, nor shall evil dwell within you. The boastful shall not stand in your sight. You hate all workers of iniquity. You shall destroy those who speak falsehood. The Lord abhors the bloodthirsty and deceitful man. So a lot of really strong words here. I mean, he's not like, "Oh yeah, the Lord doesn't like that." No evil shall dwell in you. Boastful shall not stand in your sight. You hate the workers of iniquity. You shall destroy those who speak falsehood. And I think this is a really good way to check yourself and the people that you choose to surround yourself with. I've often heard that you are the amalgamation of the 10 people you spend the most time with. And that's 100% true. You know, you absorb kind of the beliefs and personalities of the people that you allow in your life the most. So, this is a great thing to check not only yourself, but the people around you with to see what kind of spiritual fruits they're producing, what kind of things that they're doing in their life. Because if you hang around people who produce nothing, then you too will most likely produce nothing. It's not impossible, but it's definitely a solid chance. I think this is also talking about things like modern music. You know, I kind of got on that on the intro a little bit, but I mean, the boastful. Let's talk about hip hop songs. Are the songs that you're listening to, you know, promoting that lifestyle? Are we sitting on the Lambo? Are we doing the money spread? Are we in the club pouring champagne? Are we popping bottles? Is that what we're talking about? Are we glorifying God through our music, or are we promoting ourselves? Are we promoting selfish ways? Are we pursuing money? Or are we pursuing strength? And some might argue that money is strength, but you know, that's only true if you're using that money to expand God's kingdom, which the people in these videos are absolutely not. It's a very selfish pursuit, and they are 100% the workers of inequity. So then we'll go into verses 7 and 8, where we contrast the wicked man with a godly man. So it says, "But as for me, I will come into your house in the multitude of your mercy. In fear of you, I will worship towards your holy temple. Lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness because of my enemies. Make your way straight before my face." So, what we talk about in 7 and 8 is what it looks like once we get God's mercy. And we talk about how David has a constant reliance on God. You know, it seems every step of his way, he's saying, "Hey God, can we do this? Hey God, this is what I need. Please help me." And I don't believe that God has a limit on the mercy that he pours out. It's unconditional love, and that's kind of the whole point of the New Testament, is showing us that we can screw up time and time again and he will always be there for us. So, there's no reason to not constantly call on God. There's not a timer where if you've done it so many times in a day, he says, "Nope, we're done here." You just got to keep going. You have Because life is hard. Life is full of evil things. It feels great to sin. That's why it's hard not to. So, you need to constantly pray and constantly talk to God to keep those things out of your life, to keep yourself strong and keep yourself away from those, to stay on the path that we need to be on. Because the human nature, when left to its own devices, is to sin. So that's why it's so important to keep in constant communication with the Lord. So I also see this a lot. I have a friend of mine, and it always kind of stuck with me before I gave it a thought. It says, oh, let's see, I already lost it. Oh, yeah, here we go. In verse 7, "In fear of you, I will worship towards your holy temple." And a buddy of mine would always say, you know, why fear God? Like, he didn't want a fearful relationship like that. But I don't think it's necessarily fearful like we're scared we're going to get hit or something like that. It's fearful like, you know, I love my dad. I don't want to disappoint my dad. Growing up, I was fearful that I would let him down if I did something stupid. I wasn't fearful that I was going to get schwacked if I did something dumb. I just didn't want to disappoint him. And I think that's kind of the same fear here. It's not a fear of damnation or anything like that. It's not a fear of necessarily repercussions. It's just that fear of letting down somebody that you love and who loves you. So I think a lot of people read into that word fear way more negatively than than it's meant in this Bible. I mean, I could be wrong. If you disagree with that, definitely let me know down in the comments below. I would love to hear other interpretations on that. But that is how I interpret that particular phrase, the fear of the Lord, worship fearfully. We see that in several different verses. So let's hop on to verses 9 and 10, where we talk about the fruits of the wicked. So verse 9 says, "For there is no faithfulness in their mouth. Their inward part is destruction. Their throat is an open tomb. They flatter with their tongue. Pronounce them guilty, O God. Let them fall by their own counsels. Cast them out into the multitude of their transgressions, for they have rebelled against you." So this is just kind of talking about how nothing good comes from the people who are described as wicked in verse 4 through 6. And, Jesus says in the book of Matthew, I think chapter 12, verse 34, out of the abundance of their heart, their mouth speaks. And that's 100% what we're talking about here. Their inward part is destruction, their throat is an open tomb. Righteousness dies there on their lips because they're flattering with their tongue. Their heart is, or their words are exposing what's in their heart. And they're not praising with their mouth. They're not speaking truth with their mouth. Everything that they do is going to die on their mouth because it's not producing anything. It's not breathing into the world. So let's go ahead and jump on to 11 to 12. This is the last section of Psalm 5, where we talk about living joyously. So it says, "But let all those who rejoice, who put their trust in you, let them shout ever for joy, because you defend them. Let those who also love your name be joyful in you. For you, O Lord, will bless the righteous. With favor you will surround him as with a shield." And there's that shield imagery again that's very popular in the Psalms, and that's because we talk later on in the New Testament about putting on that full armor of God, and that's that final layer. You have all the armor, but the shield is the armor that goes outside the armor. That's that first layer of protection that can protect anywhere on the body. You can move it around and block from any side. It's very versatile, and it can block pretty much any weapon. So I think that's why we went with the shield imagery here, and David just loves that particular one, but it's true because the Lord surrounds us in his protection. We ask for his protection, he is there to bless us with it, and he will be our shield for all spiritual things. And I also think that I read this really cool analogy also from Charles Spurgeon in The Treasury of David. He alludes to a Christian without joy. He paints the picture as a Christian without joy being basically a candle without a flame. If you light that flame with joy, it has the potential to light up the whole room. Its light will scatter around and it will be infectious to everyone around it. But if you don't have joy, your candle's not lit. It's just sitting in darkness as well. It has potential, but it has to have that spark of joy within it in order to reach others. But that's because joy is infectious, and joy can actually override anger and hostility. I don't know if you've ever been around someone who's angry and just decided to not let their mood infect you, but typically you bring them up instead of them bringing you down. I mean, sometimes you just got to leave and don't want them to bring you down, but it's actually pretty easy. If you just keep being joyful, you can usually bring up the mood of the other people around you as well. So that's about it for Psalm 5 here. If you agree with, or if you have a different interpretation or like this one, let me know down in the comments below. If you completely disagree, let me know down below either, or as well. I'd love to talk to y'all about it. And if you liked this, subscribe for more. I try and put out a new psalm every week. And if you subscribe, you'll get the notification when I post out the next one. So until next time, be joyful, bear good fruit, and keep up that fight against awful music.